Hello everyone, Ladislas Maurice of The Wandering Investor. So today I'm in Siem Reap in Cambodia and we'll be having a look at real estate here. We're going to go check out some properties, do some numbers, go through some proper case studies. Before going into this, why Cambodia? I don't really want to spend too much talking about Cambodia. Why Cambodia? Essentially the economy's strong, it's been growing a lot. There's a lot of upside in this country, generally speaking in terms of macro, and there's a lot of stability as well. So Siem Reap is the city right next to Angkor Wat, the UNESCO World Heritage Site, which essentially guarantees millions of tourists now and in the future as well. It's one of Asia's most renowned cultural sites. So the way I see it is as Asia continues to develop, we're going to see more and more tourism here because it'll become completely inevitable for the middle class of all of Asia to at some point come here to Angkor Wat for at least a few days. So I remember when I was backpacking in Southeast Asia in the 2000s, most foreigners, most tourism was still generally Western. And then in the 2010s, it was Western and Chinese. And now increasingly what we're seeing is not just Westerners and Chinese tourists, but a lot of other Southeast Asian tourists and increasingly Indian tourists. So yesterday I went for dinner, then in front of me there was a whole family of Indians straight from India, and it's something that would have been completely unheard of even just a few years back. The shift in tourism is happening in real time here in Southeast Asia, and Angkor Wat, due to its cultural significance, will invariably attract millions of these middle-class Asians to come here to Siem Reap for at least a few days. So that's one. I'm expecting a lot of tourism growth specifically in the city. And not just that, I think a lot of people will come back because it's becoming increasingly a lifestyle destination as well. A few years ago, it's still very scruffy, but now the city is increasingly nice. There are all these cute restaurants and cafes and shops, etc. You even see, random little yoga white girls with their little mats on bicycles, and they're staying here and as digital nomads working online. A few years ago, this would have been you would have never seen this. But Siem Reap is increasingly attracting a crowd like this. For now, it's mostly a cost-conscious crowd, but increasingly we're seeing higher-end establishments and real estate as well, some of which we'll go check out today. And importantly, the government realizes this and has spent massively on infrastructure. So in 2023, a new Siem Reap International Airport was unveiled with Chinese funding. It's absolutely massive. It's way bigger than what they need currently, but clearly they are preparing for scale. They're preparing for a big influx of tourism long term. So it's good to see some good government planning in this respect. They're also building all these highways around. So the city, from an infrastructure point of view, they're really preparing it for a boom. Already there's a very good network of flights going to Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, many to Thailand, Vietnam, China, etc. So every year they're just adding new flights here at Siem Reap International Airport, which will again drive more and more tourism. And it's a lot of low-cost flights, so it's not particularly expensive to fly here. So from Singapore or Malaysia, you're looking at $100 or so for a flight, so really affordable. And finally, the population here in Siem Reap is growing fast. So generally speaking, Cambodia is a very young country, unlike a lot of countries around like Thailand, which is increasingly old, Singapore, a lot of East Asia. And Siem Reap as a city is growing much faster than the average in the country. So we're looking at yearly population growth of about 2.5% here in Siem Reap. The numbers in terms of population are a little rough, generally speaking here, but probably between 250 and 300,000 people live in Siem Reap. And finally, an important point in terms of supply of real estate, there's a limit on how high one can build here in Siem Reap, which is absolutely not the case in most Asian cities, which tend to grow in height, which means that there's almost an unlimited potential for new supply to appear on the market. Here in Siem Reap, they do not want any new buildings that are higher than Angkor Wat. So generally speaking, this means about 5 stories. So there's a natural cap on how much supply there can be in the good neighborhoods of Siem Reap, which is important to take into account. So now we are going to jump into a tuk-tuk and we are going to meet with my agent, Untac, and we're going to go through 2 case studies. We're going to go check out a new mixed-use development, which has interesting or surprising numbers, let's put it this way. So we'll look at all of that in detail in terms of ROI, and then we'll go check out a villa with a pool because it is now possible in Cambodia to buy not just approved real estate in condos for foreigners, etc., but also any house, land, etc., if you use the right structure. All right, let's go. Are you good? Good, good. Hello, how are you, Untac?
How are you, Ladisla? How are you?
Good, good, good. So Untac is an agent here in Cambodia, and he's helped a friend of mine make a few investments here in Cambodia over the years.
Yes.
So who are the main foreign buyers of real estate here in Cambodia?
The biggest market here are for Chinese, but apart from the Chinese, we also got a bunch of other investors from all around the world. We've got European, we've got American, we've got Australian that are, buying into this market for their investment or their retirements. And
What about the Indian market? Are you starting to see any outward investment from India?
Yes, frankly, we start to have a lot of Indian coming lately, mostly Phnom Penh, but also other part of Cambodia as well.
Cool, interesting.
Yeah.
And look, I came here in 2018 to look at real estate, and I had booked a 1-month trip,
Yeah.
like now, to look at the market, and then after just a few days, I mean, prices were crazy. Nothing made sense. And that month just turned into a vacation.
Yes. So Cambodia started to really boom around, say, after the crash around 2008 to 2016. The market are crazy booming. The price are doubles and triple, especially land property. But then I think we reached the peak where it's oversupplied. There's a lot of building all around, and there's not enough migration that moving to all the city that has been built. So at the moment, it's a bit of oversupply, especially Phnom Penh.
Cool.
Yeah.
So for how many years has the market been correcting itself now?
It's been, so I think before COVID, around 1 year before COVID, we started to already see the slowing, and COVID kind of really make it all come together, make it really kind of collapsing or falling in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So if you're a buyer now, you can negotiate interesting discounts?
Absolutely. Right now, it's a buyer market. So you can go to any developer. You can come up with very creative structures and so on. And if you have cash, this is a really good time for you to come in and buy into something that 20, 30, even 40% discount.
Even 40% discount?
Yeah, I mean it's hard to find. This kind of deal usually come up on the market for a few days and then it's gone.
Yeah.
But you have to have all cash ready. You know? Yeah.
Cool. So it's a clear buyer's market.
Yeah.
So we'll do all the numbers in terms of rental returns, etc. We'll see.
Yeah.
They're not very high, so it's a different investment thesis here. So tell us a little bit about this project here in Siem Reap.
I don't know if you're familiar, but in Cambodia you cannot own the land outright. So property can be limited, especially if you want to buy villas and lands that you can. So the alternative are anything from the first floor up. So you can look at apartments and condo and so on. And this is one of the projects that people can own outright. Yeah.
Okay, so when I hear this, my first reflex is to think that it's a bit of a fake market. If foreigners can only buy in certain developments, then aren't these developments a fake market in the sense they're overpriced?
No, not in that sense. Specifically in this property, in this project, there's over 35% Cambodian that buy into it because they see all of this finished touch and beautiful development, and it's a real value, it's a real market here.
Cool. So this is like a big co-working space in the development.
Yes. So this is a co-working space upstairs. You got the meeting rooms and so on. It's really nice and really well done, really well made.
This is what I'm seeing here. Looking at Siem Reap is increasingly a lot of digital nomads are moving here. They're working from here, and they want amenities like this. And a few years ago, they didn't exist, and now they do. So, gym, pool, co-working, all of that, fast internet. Interesting, yeah. So 35% is Cambodian, then it means it's not a fake market, it's a real market.
After this, we will go and see the other villas where we're gonna talk through all the different title because things have changed recently.
Yeah, and we'll do all the ROI numbers as well.
So this is a 2-bedroom unit. It roughly around 80 square meters. It comes with all the furniture here. Okay. And the price we're looking at would be around 200,000. It's not cheap for what it is here, but it's a really nice finished touch.
Yeah, so look, not cheap. And then this is a recurring theme that we'll see in the video. Real estate in Cambodia is not cheap. Though it's gone down, it's not cheap. Cool, so what would be roughly the rental income on a unit like this?
We're looking at around 1,200 per month.
Cool. Yeah, and again, this is with, one can expect relatively low occupancy rates, am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great, so we're gonna do the exact numbers on a 1-bedroom apartment, which is going for about $125,000. When we're sitting down with the developer, he came through with an offer of rental guarantee as well as a buyback guarantee.
Yeah.
So as I travel around the world, I sometimes come across such deals. I'm often quite skeptical of them. They're not all bad. But in this case, it's quite different. There's something interesting in there. So can you take us through the concept? Because us in Western countries, we're not really used to these schemes.
Yeah. Well, potentially these are a financial product, really what it is. So the developer will give you 7% rental yield per year, and they give you a 10% guarantee buyback after 5 years. So we're looking at 9%. And if we add it up between the rental yield and the guarantee buyback at the end of 5 years, we're looking at 45% or return on our investment. So that's very, very interesting.
So when I see this, my immediate thought is, am I overpaying for the apartment?
Generally speaking, yes. From developer to developer, usually they add it up in some sense, yes.
So if I were to buy this 1-bedroom on the secondary market, the one that's going for 125, how much could I get it for?
We're looking at around 100,000 for the same unit.
Okay, so 20% discount.
Yes.
Okay. So effectively, if there wasn't the buyback guarantee, if it was just the rental guarantee, it would be terrible because you're just paying upfront for the yield that you're going to be getting over the next 5 years, generally speaking. Having said this, the buyback guarantee makes it interesting because, like you said, it's a financial product. So you just go in there, buy the apartment. You know that the real value of the apartment is just 80% of what you paid for it. So if the developer were to go bankrupt or whatever, I mean, you still have the apartment, it's finished. It's just, you lost 20%, right? That's pretty much it. And then you get paid for those 5 years. And after the 5 years, you get the apartment plus 10%. So it's really important to actually sell the apartment after the 5 years. The market hasn't gone up significantly. So it's partially secured lending to Cambodian developers at a US dollar fixed rate of 9% with a lock-in period of 5 years.
Yes.
This is the financial product.
Yeah, it technically is. It literally is a financial product.
Cool. With what, 2 weeks of usage per year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a little gift, 2 weeks a year of hanging out in Siem Reap in a nice apartment.
Yeah, you can use it or give it to your friend to use it 2 weeks out of a year.
People say, oh, this must be a scam. It's not a scam. The developer's just using the money for his next projects. So, is the developer solid? Look, you were telling me this is one of the biggest developers in the country. They have a lot of projects, etc. I see the maintenance in the building is quite good. If they were really low on money, you'd start to see a bit of skimping on maintenance. Have I done due diligence, on the financials of this Cambodian developer? No. Am I recommending this as an investment? No. But it's just interesting to see that there are these possibilities out there. And for some people, for some of you watching this, might be what you're looking for. 9% fixed a year for 5 years is objectively not bad when term deposits are paying, if you're lucky, 5% in USD. So sure, why not? Tell me about the secondary market. So if I were to tell you, Untac, I'm not actually looking for financial product. I actually want to have an apartment for lifestyle purposes or whatever, spend more time than just 2 weeks a year here. So you said we could get it for about $100,000.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of closing costs. Let's try to do the rental yields just so that we have an understanding of what the market is actually like.
Yeah.
What would be the expected rental on a furnished 1-bedroom apartment like this?
We're looking at realistically 650 to 750 within this price range. Occupancy rate, we're looking at probably around 50% out of the whole year, because there's a lot of competition. There's an oversupply here in this current market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, even though at the beginning of the video, I was talking about, tourism is going up and they built the infrastructure, the new airport, blah, 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 blah. The reality is, yeah, there's oversupply. I mean, I'm staying in a 4-star hotel, really nice, massive room, $27 a night with breakfast. So I understand this is a completely different product, but yeah, there's a lot of supply out there. So it's not that easy. I mean, you can't get 90% occupancy rate. That's never going to happen.
Yeah. But on the other side, if you're looking at the secondary market, if you're patient and if you're not rushed, you can wait and get, like, say 20, could be 30, sometimes 40% discount. And the good things about this, especially if you want to buy it and live in it, or if you want to buy it and having come to visit or having friends coming over to visit and stay at this place, that's a perfect deal for you, because potentially you could rent 5-6 months out of the year and the other rest of the year you can use it for your own.
And then you could help people with this. So if people want off-market deals, bank foreclosures, they can just contact you and you can let them know when there's a deal that comes through.
Yeah, absolutely.
How much would the property management cost to have someone take care of things?
Generally speaking, it's 10%. This applied to this project as well as everywhere in Cambodia. The standard are on there.
Okay. And what about the service charges, HOA, all of that?
The management fee, once again, the standard price are $1 per square meter per month.
Okay. And what about property tax?
In Cambodia, it's relatively very cheap. We're looking at anywhere, say, between $50 to $150 per year.
That's a pleasure. And then a little bit of budget for incidentals, maintenance, whatever. People are looking at a net yield of 2.5%. It could be even lower. It's hard to say. But I think the message here is you don't come here and buy an apartment like this on the secondary market for rental yields. You come here for just the diversification, for the lifestyle. You come here for kind of crisis purchases. If buying it at 40% off or 30% is a lot more interesting than just at 20%, which is the standard secondary market. And then also crypto. I think this is an interesting thing about Cambodia. You can buy with crypto.
Yes.
So directly with developers as well?
Yeah. In the past 12 months, we see a lot of investors that want to invest through crypto, and the market have to adapt to this. We see a lot of developers start to accept directly or work with a local exchange where potentially investor can send the money to the local exchange and they either can get all cash and, like cash out and just use that cash to buy directly to the developer or the property owner, or they can wire to whoever you want to wire to.
Okay, so you're telling me if I want to buy this apartment on the secondary market, I just transfer the money or transfer the crypto.
Yeah.
The local crypto exchange just wires the dollars to the developer directly or the seller.
Yeah.
Or I can just go get a bag of just $100,000 in cash and just go to the notary public at the signing with that.
Yes.
So this is another function of real estate in Cambodia. And this is also what helps support a lot of real estate here in Cambodia. It's a country where the AML regulations are not as intense as in a lot of Western countries. So for example, let's say you're a Westerner, you've been trading crypto for many years on all these different exchanges and this and that, and no bank wants to see your money because they're just not happy with how messy your whole trading was and you don't have all the documents, etc. And you're kind of stuck with a crypto. Cambodia is a solution. So you can either just buy a place like this, cash, whatever, make 2% a year, hang out here in Siem Reap, or you go with the developer option, which is, kind of interesting. You turn your crypto into a 9% a year partially secured loan to a developer, and after 5 years you can sell it. You get US dollars, and then when people ask you what's the source of funds, well, I sold real estate. I've had that real estate for 5 years. In most cases, people will then be fine with it. Also, when we look at this apartment and we're saying 650 for a 1 bedroom, you can get villas for that price, right?
Yes, and that's a very, very interesting things that later we're gonna go and see some villas, because for around the same price, we can get a really nice villa around town. But the tricky things here is we need to deal with the title, because as a foreigner, you cannot own land here or property here on land like house, villas, and so on. But there are ways to go around it. The traditional way that we see a lot of people use is through nominee. So how it works is, if you know some Cambodian or friends that you know and trust, you can have a lawyer who do all the legal binding to get that done. But I'm personally not recommend anyone to go through that path, because it's a little tricky, especially if the nominee is sick or have an accident and so on. That could be a very, very tricky situation that could potentially fall into your lap. So the second idea, or the other way that people can do, and that I more recommended to, is the bank trust. So we can do this through the bank or a holding company that potentially they buy it and hold it for you. But the downside is you need to pay fee.
So it's a bit like in Mexico, where foreigners cannot own property along the coast, but you just go through bank trust, you're fine. So now there's this legal framework here in Cambodia for this. So it is possible effectively to buy villas, to all of that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see that people can rent a whole villa for 650 or a 1 bedroom apartment like this. A lot of people prefer the 1 bedroom because they have the amenities, the gym, the pool, all of that. So very different markets. So now we're going to go check out a villa for sale, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Let's go.
Nice car, Untac.
Thanks. Come in.
So it's a Chinese car?
It's a Chinese car company with a Japanese engine, Mitsubishi.
Wow.
It's very, very popular here in Cambodia at the moment.
Yeah, these Chinese cars are really increasingly nice, eh? They're very, I mean inside it's nice, like nice and modern.
Yeah, we're very happy with it.
Is it your first time owning a Chinese car?
Yes.
Will you go back to European or Japanese cars later?
That's an interesting question. Considering the price, this is definitely worth it.
So this is a nice villa. So traditional style, right?
Yes. Cambodian traditional house. Beautiful.
Cool. So 3 bedroom, I think 3 bathrooms. What price?
I think this is listed on the market for 195,000.
Okay, in a good neighborhood of Siem Reap. And Connor here is the tenant. How are you, Connor?
I'm good, thank you. Socks by.
How much rent are you paying for this place?
$800 a month.
Cool. And you have a lease for how long?
A year.
A year.
Yeah.
Can you show us around?
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool. So the owner is Cambodian. She did the whole renovation, we were told. Connor is renting the place for a whole year, but the house is for sale with Connor inside, right? You're included in the house, right?
I mean, for a supplement. Yeah, I come with foie gras.
Downstairs is the
absolutely.
kitchen, all of that. So why did you decide to move to Cambodia?
We fell in love with Cambodia during COVID. We came here and stayed for a long time. We traveled all of Asia, and there's an interesting dynamic here. The history kind of overlapping with the modern beauty of it, and being in a place where it's primarily Buddhist people, so they're very kind, and the world's getting to be kind of mean. So it's nice to be around kind people.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and we just love the history of the place, and it's affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We sold our house in Hawaii. We were living in Hawaii for 15 years.
Wow, sir.
And so we made some money off that, but that money wouldn't have gone anywhere in America. You know, we looked at our budget, and it was like we were going to last for 2 months. It was going to cost like 10 grand or something like that. Do you know how long 10 grand lasts here?
How long?
A year. Really. So we go to Seattle for a month, and it costs $10,000. and it's cold. And I lived in Hawaii, so I wasn't looking to go back to the cold. I like good weather. The weather's perfect here.
It is. It really is. And have your own nice pool here.
I go in it 4 times a day.
Nice. Apart from rent, how much your monthly expenses roughly?
The power, we're still kind of figuring that out, but it's probably $150 a month. Oh, you want to go in here? It's probably $150 a month, but we keep this room like a fridge. You know, we keep it nice and cold because sometimes it gets very hot outside, and it's nice to be able to go into the pool and then retreat into the room.
It is like a fridge.
Yeah, we keep it nice and cold in here. We keep it at like 22 or 21, and
only Americans would consume air conditioning to such an extent.
Just in the one room, and then also we keep our main fridge in here,
Cool.
and we keep our water cooler in here, and that's like important, man. If you like, we have an outdoor fridge too, and that thing is gonna die. It's just sitting outside. I'm a chef. Yeah. So I know how it works to have machinery outside. It's better to have it cool inside.
And upstairs is the more traditional side of the home, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This is where our guests stay.
Do you often have people visiting you from the States, or is it a bit far for people to visit?
Yeah, it's a bit far. We have friends in Phnom Penh and Kampot, and we have friends from Thailand that come visit. The States is pretty far, but we do have nieces, and like I have an aging mom that might travel and stuff like that.
Is it an easy place to make friends as an expat?
I'm a weird expat. I'm kind of not like a normal person. I lived in Hawaii for 15 years. Hawaii, white people are a minority at the very bottom of the social ladder. So I got pretty good at just making friends. Plus I'm a chef, so it's kind of my job to work in hotels, and I've always worked with people from all over the world. I gel more with people that don't look like me than people that do look like me.
All right, fair enough. And what about the ingredients here? For food?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The markets are fantastic. Everything's perfect here. I think it's just amazing. There's some of the best food probably in Southeast Asia here, and it doesn't get the hype that Vietnam or Thailand does. So for a chef, it's kind of neat. You can.
Why did you choose Cambodia, not, for example, Thailand or Vietnam?
Well, Thailand's twice as expensive. I came to do my dentistry in Thailand, and we thought we would stay here you have to go back and forth. I have to get implants. Like Thailand's crazy. It's kind of in your face all the time, and Cambodia is kind of the opposite of that. It's very reserved and very sweet. And I mean, if you go to Pub Street, you can be in the middle of that, but out here in Svidankum, it's beautiful. It's very quiet. You know, there's a temple over here that goes off, a couple times a month, but we love it. It doesn't affect us at all. Yeah, some Westerners, oh, the temples. I think it's amazing. Yeah.
That's so sweet. Yeah.
I like to integrate. Yeah, well, I want to love where I am, I don't want it to be like where I'm from. Yeah. That doesn't make sense. Yeah. I would just go there. Yeah.
Cool. And then there's a third bedroom.
It's a wedding or a funeral too. Yeah. I mean, those are both things that happen in life. It's very important.
It would usually be very.
But are you going to yell at children for having fun? Yeah. You know what I mean? Because they can only be children one time,
Cool.
So this is where we have the guests stay. Yeah, this one's kind of more done up for guests. And then there's a little kind of another bedroom maybe. You could almost say this is like 3.5. Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Or with a little office or whatever.
An office?
So are you gonna?
Yeah, kind of. It's like a children's bedroom or something.
Are you considering buying real estate yourself here, or you?
Yeah, we'd like to, but we're just starting with the whole immigration process. Mm-hmm. So we came and stayed a long time before, and then we came back, and then we've just extended our visas, and it's just a process. I think I heard you talking about it, 5 to 7 years, and you need to renew, and you need to do everything right, and be a good citizen. And so we're just starting that part of it. Yeah, but we really love Cambodia, and it's also a good jumping off point. We travel the world a lot, and this is a good hub to continue going. I guess not east anymore. Start going west again.
Are you happy with the new airport, the new Siem Reap airport?
No, that's terrible.
Why?
It's a beautiful airport, stunning. It's an hour away. I'm afraid it's going to be harmful to Siem Reap.
Yeah.
That's too far away. Yeah, the old airport was right there. You could just come right, a tuk-tuk, $5, and you come into town, and it's very easy. This one is a nightmare. I'm all about Cambodia tourism. I really want to uplift the tourism in this country. I think there needs to be 2 or 3 million more people come into this country every year. Right now it's maybe like 500,000 or something. It's not enough. Yeah. All these people need jobs. The thing about the tourism here is we need to make it very easy to get through the airport. When people go to Thailand, it's like stamp, 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 and you're in. It's not a problem. Here, you wait in line for an hour to get through the airport. So it needs to be very easy for the high net worth people that have nice cars and extra money to come here. And then that airport's so far away, it makes it very difficult for people to come to Siem Reap. And then when they get here, they just go to Angkor Wat, and then they go home.
Yep.
That's about it. So we need a strategy as a community to keep those people here. Maybe 3 days, maybe 5 days.
Yeah.
It requires world-class restaurants. It requires ease at Tonle Sap Lake.
Yeah.
Maybe more investment in talking about the other temples, Ta Prohm, Bante Sre. All these are beautiful temples that are just as good as Angkor Wat. But people say, this is the best one. Like, it's comparing temples is crazy. So anyways, I think there needs to be a concerted effort on the community, on behalf of the community and the government here, to fix the little issues that make tourists not want to come stay here. And that airport's a big problem. Yes. When you turn off the camera, I can tell you more, but I don't want to say anymore. Aloha, nui loa, i'oe.
Thank you very much, Connor.
Thanks, man.
So Untac, what are your thoughts on this?
You know, comparing the two property, this one look a lot more appealing. You know, if you are looking for investing in Cambodia or even live here part of the year, I think staying at the villa or highlight, this is much more appealing.
Yeah, it's just they're totally different. You know, one is do you want the gym, the pool, the amenities. This is do you want to live in a more Cambodian neighborhood, in a Cambodian house. And you can tell the type of people were very different. Like Connor is very different from the sort of people that were hanging out at the coffee shop in the other place. So I guess they each have their own market.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and the yield is approximately 4 or 5% on this.
Yes.
That's not too bad actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Cambodia, that's actually really good.
If you're looking for something like this, the yearly rental yield is not as great, but you know, we're hoping or looking for appreciation. So one of the things that we haven't mentioned is Siem Reap, all of the building cannot go higher than Angkor Wat. So the city spread out quite quickly, so potentially the appreciation of the land will go up.
I wrote a whole article on the real estate market here in Siem Reap. There's a link below with more information. Untac, so you can help people invest in these kind of financial products, real estate, just secondary market, bank foreclosures, all of that, correct?
Yeah. If you're looking to invest through cryptos and stuff, we can help you do it here.
Okay, fantastic. So there's a link below with more information on Untac services and how to contact him. All right, Untac, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Make sure to download my free ebook, 12 Mistakes to Avoid When Investing in International Real Estate, which you can find on my website, linked below. And feel free to follow me on Instagram @TheWandering Investor. I look forward to hearing from you.